So the big takeaway for a lot of casual football fans that maybe aren't plugged into Ohio State or Notre Dame or like the lead up to what this game was, I think when Coach Day, when the Buckeyes win and he does his immediate post game interview, I think there were a lot of people that were like, "Why is this man cutting a wrestling promo in my face? Like, what the hell is going on?" I think the story has kind of gotten out a little bit. I think people have like tried to share that Lou Holtz was, I don't know if he's talking junk, but whatever. There was at least a little backstory because a lot of people that I know were like, this came out of nowhere. And they're like, why is this man calling out Lou Holtz? They didn't even know that Lou Holtz said anything. But I wanted to ask you about just that outburst that seemingly came out of nowhere, but also felt like it was like a pent up. It almost had nothing to do with Lou Holtz from my perspective, and it was more of like just this narrative that is building about Ryan Day, and he just finally let it all out at once. Like, what did you make of just that instance of seeing Ryan Day win a close game like this, punch it in at the end to win it, and just kind of have that release live on national television?
Yeah, I mean, Lou Holtz, I think, was the unfortunate punching bag in that situation. Like, this is something that was building for Ryan. I mean, it's not just, Ohio State detractors. It's OSU fans that are talking about a soft program. And he had mentioned after the game that, they had one bad half, but they're a tough team. They're a physical team. And when you go back and watch a coach's tape, and I argued with Ohio State fans after the Michigan game this year, in 2021 at the Big House, that was a bad half of football from a physical standpoint. They got pushed around, they got bullied, they tapped out of that game. I don't disagree with that. This year it was different where I thought it was mostly like missed assignments and guys not being where they were supposed to be and not guys just getting pushed around.
Yeah.
Right. And so Ryan hears that and then, Lou Holtz is talking about, oh, well, when Alabama beats you, and it's like, well, Alabama beat Ohio State because they were sitting back in cover three and they had Tough Borland, who's a great guy. He's got to carry the third vertical up through the middle of Devontae Smith, and that's a mismatch every single time. Like, that's just bad coaching. And it's unfortunate for Tough, and that's how that happened. He talked about Clemson. It's like, the Clemson game, like Sean Wade got kicked out for targeting. That's
right.
Physical. Like he hit a dude in the head.
You
like,
can't get more physical.
Not physical. Exactly. And so like you can go down the line and talk about some of these games, and it's like it's an unfair narrative, but I see how people also got there. So he was frustrated. I think it was a good thing. I think people needed to see him like that because they saw him like that against Georgia and thought that he called the best game of his life, and I don't disagree with it. The last thing I'll say is how that kind of built up is the thing that stands out to me most. So we're doing our pregame show for NBC, and we're waiting to come on air. And my producer gets in my ear and says, "Hey, we've got some Ryan Day sound with Catherine Tappan, who's our sideline reporter. I think it's interesting, but I want you to hear it and tell me if you think this needs to go on the show." So she's asking about the preparation. He's like, "Listen, we've had a great 48 hours of preparation." He's like, "But people are saying some things about my program right now that I don't really like." And he's like, we're going to go out there and we're going to play hard and we're going to play fast. We're just going to play as hard as we can." And she asked another follow-up question. And he was like, "Listen, I don't know where anybody else is going to be in the fourth quarter, but I'm going to be here in the fourth quarter. My team's going to be here in the fourth quarter." And I was like, whoa. I'm like, Ryan's a little spicy right now.
Yeah.
I've not heard my man like this. So I'm like, we need to put this in the show. People got to hear him. Like, they have to hear this. So then at halftime, he's like, Catherine's asking questions. Like, I'm just pissed off right now. I was like, we missed some opportunities. I'm pissed. And I'm like, dude, so it was the whole day. It wasn't just post game like he unleashes. He built up to that moment. And then it was probably the most emotional game just from the swings, because when Notre Dame had that long drive in the fourth quarter, it might have been third quarter, whatever it was, I was like, that might be the backbreaker. And then Ohio State kept fighting. They had a chance at the end, and it's like all the emotion came out at that point.
Yeah, as a Buckeye, I won't lie, like I can see why non-Ohio State fans might have thought it was a little corny for him to go after a 98-year-old man or however old Lou Holtz is, and just like come out of nowhere, just throwing haymakers at Lou Holtz. Whether it was corny, not whether it galvanized the team or I don't know. But as a fan that's been watching Ryan Day coach for 5 years, I liked it because I don't necessarily think that he's soft or that the teams are soft or whatever. But this you played for Urban Meyer. I mean, Urban set like an impossible standard when it comes to cutthroatedness, if that's a word, and it's definitely not, but I'm going to use it. He just set like an impossible standard, and so when the next coach comes along and he's not quite that, and he's different, and he's better in some ways, and he's not as good in other ways, whatever, and then you start losing to Michigan, those doubts creep in. And so for me, to see Ryan Day just give a shit was awesome. Just to see him just like I'm not going to take this, and whether he's right, wrong, or whether he it is kind of weird that you let Lou Holtz get under your skin. I don't know, but the fact is, for me, I thought this is cool to see something out of Ryan Day that like he's not a fiery guy. Like that's not something you see a lot of in the last 5 years of Ryan Day getting fired up to that extent. So I don't know. It's encouraging moving forward, but.